Buying a home has always required trade-offs, but increasingly the gap between what you earn and where you can afford to live is being filled not by hard work and discipline, but by family money. Hi, I'm Allie Jane Ayers, and this is Money Changes Everything. How to get your shit together for a down payment. The real math behind how to afford a house. Key takeaways. The best place to keep your down payment cash depends on your timeline. In today's housing market, whether or not you can afford a house often comes down to whether someone can help you out. You need to know what trade-offs you're willing to make to afford a down payment on your first home. By the time you close on your first home, you're exhausted. What should feel like elation and an overwhelming sense of accomplishment feels more like a vampire sucked out half your blood. You've emptied out most of your life savings to afford the down payment. You scrounged around for every last quarter between the couch cushions to pay the lawyers. You've signed so many documents you're developing carpal tunnel. And you just want to sleep in your own bed, which unfortunately is now in a moving truck somewhere across town. For me, buying a home is a stressful and unpleasant process. You always need more cash than you think, and there are always hidden fees and unpleasant surprises that will come up. The outcome is what really matters, but the often months or years-long journey to get there can test the limits of your patience and even your marriage. Does your budget match the market? The first step to buying a place is to come up with a realistic budget and see if it makes sense. In the tech world, there's this concept of product market fit, which means that you might have a great product, but if there's no market for it, it will fail. The same goes for home buying. You can look at your own balance sheet and come up with a realistic purchase price that you can afford, but the market might not have the supply at your price point. This is a pretty common occurrence since housing prices are wildly outpacing wage growth. It's frustrating to think you've saved enough for a respectable $800,000 home, only to find out that $800,000 won't buy you what you want in the neighborhood you want to live. The reality is that you might need to spend 20 to 30% higher than you planned. There are plenty of online home affordability calculators. I like this one from NerdWallet, and I highly recommend using it to get a realistic idea of what you can actually afford. It's a calculation of your income and how much you have saved. How to actually save. I have nothing groundbreaking to say here. It's pretty straightforward. If you want to be aggressive about saving for a home, start by saving 20% of your income into a separate account that isn't a high-yield savings account labeled house. Make it automatic if you can. Naming the account really helps. That way it reminds you what the money is for and keeps it psychologically separate from your everyday spending and saving. I'll also say this. Please try not to raid your retirement accounts to buy your house. I know some of you will anyway, because owning a home is the most important goal you have, and I respect that. But I would strongly prefer that you leave your 401k alone. Retirement is hard enough to save for as it is. If you can keep that money intact and find another way to pay for a house, I hope you do. Saving cash in the right place. This is a hard one because markets and interest rates move around. The best place to keep your down payment cash depends, most importantly, on your timeline. If your home purchase goal is years away, you should likely think about investing in an equity portfolio with higher potential returns. If you're close to your goal and think your purchase might happen in the next 2 years, you may want to move your cash to something more defensive, like a high-yield savings account or a conservative bond-heavy portfolio. You don't want a sudden stock market drop to delay your home purchase when your family is ready to buy. Saving and investing for a down payment is a delicate art. There's no perfect answer. Just try to match your financial strategy to your timeline and risk tolerance. This is where a financial planner can help. How to ask for help. If you're in the fortunate position of having someone in your life who might be able to help with the down payment, that is a gift, literally. But it's also a conversation that deserves thoughtfulness. Here's a way to start. I've been doing the math, and I'm getting closer to be able to buy a house. I've saved $50,000, and I can comfortably afford the mortgage on a place around $600,000. But I'm short on the down payment, and I wanted to ask you, mom or dad or whomever, if you might be in a position to help with part of it. I know this isn't small, but I want to walk you through the numbers and show you what I've already planned on my end. It shows that you're responsible and that you've thought about it and you're asking for a real number to help you reach your goals. Have the conversation early. Large gifts can have tax implications, and they often require financial coordination, whether it's selling stock or transferring funds across accounts. The earlier you start, the easier it will be for everyone involved. Getting help from parents or relatives is how many people afford homes that are technically beyond their means. This doesn't make you spoiled, it just makes you honest about how the system works. There's also this concept of the money marinating that I've heard from some mortgage brokers, that if you are going to get a gift, you want it to be in your name for, I've heard everything from 6 months to a year. So that's why I really encourage you to have these conversations if you're in that awesome position of getting family help. So let's look at the math. The $600,000 question: what a teacher's salary really buys. Let's say Sarah is 32, a public school teacher in New Jersey, earning $90,000 a year. After a decade of savings, she's put away $50,000. It wasn't easy. Those savings represent years of skipped vacations, living with roommates, and side gigs tutoring in the evenings. Now she's ready to buy her first home. She's found a one-bedroom condo in Jersey City listed at $600,000. It's not her dream home, but it's cute, updated, and close to the PATH train. She's done a lot right. She graduated without student loan debt, so why does it still feel so far out of reach? What can Sarah actually afford? Sarah earns about $7,500 a month before taxes. Following the standard rule of thumb, spending no more than 28% of gross income on housing, her max monthly housing budget is about $2,100. The rules of thumb are all we have, so let's just go with it. That budget is meant to protect her from being, quote unquote, house poor, which is a situation where housing costs eat up so much income that there's nothing left for saving, investing, or breathing room. The reality of a $600,000 home. In a competitive market like Jersey City, a 20% down payment isn't just ideal, it's expected. Buyers with less money for a down payment faced higher interest rates, the added burden of PMI, private mortgage insurance, which you must pay if you put less than 20% down, and lower odds of getting their offer accepted. So let's look at some numbers. 20% of $600,000 is $120,000. She's got $50,000 saved, which means she's $70,000 short to meet the down payment. Even if she gets there, the monthly payments still won't really work. A $480,000 mortgage at today's rates, around 6.5%, would run about $3,000 a month in principal and interest. Add in taxes and insurance, and Sarah's total housing cost is more like $3,800 to $4,000 a month. That's nearly double what her salary can support. So what's the move? Sarah has a few options. She can lower her price point. To stay within her housing budget, Sarah needs to be looking at homes priced closer to $375,000 to around $400,000, assuming she'll still pay 20% down payment. In most parts of Jersey City, that seriously limits her options. She could increase her income. This could mean taking on a second job, making a move into a school administration, which pays better, or trying out an entirely new career. But these aren't short-term fixes. She could ask for help. If her parents are willing to be able to gift Sarah $250,000, she could combine that with her own savings to put 50% down. That would bring her mortgage to $300,000 with monthly costs around $2,000. Manageable, but obviously this isn't an option for everyone. She could share the costs. Not to be cheeky, but Sarah could move in with a partner or a roommate and split the costs. The one bedroom just got a lot more affordable. What this says about the market. Sarah's journey isn't unusual. It's the story of many middle-class professionals trying to buy into the neighborhoods they work in and contribute to. It shows how far $90,000 goes and how far it doesn't. Buying a home has always required trade-offs, but increasingly the gap between what you earn and where you can afford to live is being filled not by hard work and discipline, but by family money. The real kicker is this. Sarah didn't do anything wrong. She didn't overspend or undersave. She's not burdened by debt. She did what every personal finance article told her to do, and it still isn't enough. That's not a budgeting issue. It's a systematic one. In today's housing market, the difference between ready and shut out often comes down to whether someone can help you bridge the gap. And if they can't, you're stuck renting, waiting, and watching prices climb higher. Remember, renting isn't a failure. It's worth asking yourself, is buying a home really what I want right now? Or is it just what I've been told what comes next? There's no shame in renting. Renting can offer flexibility, lower upfront costs, and fewer headaches. It's not always a sign you're behind in the game of life. In fact, for many people, it's the more strategic move, especially if buying would mean draining your savings, locking into a mortgage that stretches your budget, or living somewhere you don't actually want to be long-term. Knowing the trade-offs. Buying a home might be the right move, but only if you understand what it will take. For a lot of people, that means years of living like a monk. No big vacations, no major life changes, no financial surprises. Every dollar has a job, and most of those jobs are boring. You need to know not just how you'll afford the down payment, but what you're willing to give up to get there, and whether you're okay with those trade-offs. Not just for a few months, but for many years. Here's my parting shot. Getting your shit together for a down payment is necessary, but in today's market, it's not always sufficient. The math might not work no matter how responsible you are.